Good day, beautiful people, and welcome to Our Power is Within. I'm your host, Chaz Smith, aka Just Chaz, and I am on a mission to inspire people to take their power back and to help people to realize that each and every one of us has a healer within our own self. When we can create an environment that supports healing and we can get out of our own way, we are truly capable of healing in mind, body, and soul. Whether you have been following along this whole time or if this is your first episode, thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I do truly appreciate each of you. And if you do feel called to help me spread the message of empowerment and healing, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast or sharing your favorite episode with a friend. Okay, so you guys, today is going to be a short one, and here is why. As some of you may have already realized, this episode is coming out a little bit later than it usually posts. And honestly, I'm just lucky to be posting an episode at all. You see, I planned to post this super awesome episode today with this spectacular interview from a wonderful guest, and instead you just get me. Why do you ask? Well, because today I needed to take care of myself. And I needed to make a choice from a place of love, self-love. And without going into details, I've been growing through a couple of challenging personal situations in my life in just the past few days, the week, that, to be honest, I've been distracted. And it really does take a lot of focus to sit down and do the edits and write the show notes and include all the other things that it takes to get the podcast episode ready and released. And I never want to do something half-ass. Like, that's just not who I am or who I want to be. I want to give something my all, and I don't need it to be perfect, but I want to give it my all. I want to be able to be fully present and fully with each experience. So I haven't been able to sit down and do the things that I needed to do and am committed to getting done to release the interview today. So I'm going to explain why a little bit more. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning, and I'm feeling this pressure. I wake up feeling this pressure. I have to get this done. I'm already late. I have to get this done. And then I sit for a moment and I decide, okay, let's just observe this pressure. Because pressure is something I'm working on. Urgency and pressure is something I'm currently working on releasing in my life. So I sit with the pressure and I notice the fears and the limiting beliefs that come up for me. Fears that I will lose listeners, fears that I will let someone down, fears that I'm not being professional by not honoring my commitment to my full episode on Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time. So I just let myself notice these fears and then I let them pass, right? And then I feel inspired. I feel inspired to just come on here and free flow a short and sweet solo episode, because I don't want to be known as the girl who was professional. I want to be known as the girl who's real. I want to be known as the girl who's committed to taking care of herself and who can inspire other people to realize the value in caring for and showing themselves love. I don't want to let anyone down, but I especially don't want to let me down. Do you feel me? So this past week, I had the pleasure of writing my very first blog of a series. It's going to be a 4-month series on self-love. The blog series is called Love is a Verb, and a verb is action. So I thought, rather than forcing myself to sit down and complete something because of a commitment I've made, even though I'm not able to show up fully, rather than doing that, I decided that I was going to show up for myself and act in love, and maybe speak a little bit about self-love and what that means in this blog. So here I am. The blog series is on one of my friends' community blog websites called Rewiring Your Wellness. I will drop a link in the show notes for that website so that if you want to not only check out my very first, it's not my very first blog ever. I write blogs all the time, but I've never done a series and I haven't done one as a guest post. So if you want to check that out, the link will be in the show notes, because who doesn't want to learn about self-love or be inspired to love themselves more, or to question what it even means to show up in love. The Rewiring Your Wellness website also has so many other amazing, wonderfully talented, beautifully, just beautifully written blogs by a bunch of really amazing, beautiful, talented, gifted other retrainers and writers. So I really encourage you to also check all of those blogs out. There's probably a topic for everything, rewiring focused. The director of Rewiring Your Wellness is Ashley Lauren. And if you guys have been here from the beginning, she was on my podcast episode number 3. So I would encourage you to check that out also. And if you are newer, then today's a great day to go back and find an old episode that maybe you missed, depending on what you're looking for today. Okay, so anyhow, to honor that blog post on self-love, I figured I would come on here and be transparent and share with you all how this mini episode for this week is me honoring my commitment to self-love, to have forgiveness for myself, and honoring what I need. So my questions for you today are, if love is a verb, how do you show up for yourself? How do you love yourself fully and deeply? How do you practice self-love daily, right? Because it is a practice, especially if we're not really familiar with how to do it. Because so many of us spend our whole life never really actually loving ourselves as a verb. I know that my first blog post goes really deep into how I've had all these epiphanies over the years of learning all the ways I wasn't able to really show up for myself. And I'm still learning every day. Other questions to ask yourself are, do you trust that you are enough in every capacity? Do you pat your own back? Do you say to yourself, great job? Do you make choices that support your ultimate desires? These are all just food for thought, questions that I thought I could just ask and put out there and get your mind spinning. I still want to do a challenge today. And so, of course, today's challenge is actually going to be around self-love. And that challenge is for you to spend the next week waking up every day, placing your hand on your heart and asking yourself, how can I truly love me more today? How can I show up for me today? What do I need from me today? And something might come up and something might not. And if nothing comes up, it might just be a muscle that needs flexed. It might just be harder to tap in and hear yourself if you've disconnected from that relationship. So just do it again the next day and the next and the next, and trust and wait that eventually the answers will come through. And when the answers do come through, give yourself what you need. Do that act of love. Show up for yourself that day, every day. Because if we cannot show up for ourselves, then how can we ever expect anyone else to show up for us? Does that make sense? And we're all worthy. We are all, every single one of us, worthy of being unconditionally loved, not only by each other, but first by ourselves, because how we love ourselves is the example that we set for the universe and everyone else to love us back, and how we'll love others. I love you all so much. I love this podcast. I feel incredibly blessed every single week to get to meet and connect with so many beautiful, wise souls, to have these really inspiring, uplifting conversations, and to then get to share them with everyone listening. Only hoping that each day someone somewhere is inspired to take their power back. Today, this was the request myself made for me, to just pop on here and just take a moment of being real, of honoring my truth, and sharing with you a few thoughts and just being open and honest. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm able to do this for myself today, something I would have never considered doing a couple years ago. And I'm grateful for each of you because I know that anyone and everyone listening right now will support that I am also honoring my truth. And I would do the same for you. I hope you do the same for you too. On a side note, I do have some really special guests that I look forward to sharing with you all over the coming weeks. Like, you guys, I'm honestly really stoked. I feel every week like my mind is blown by the wisdom and awesomeness that people bring to the table to share with us all. So I'm excited, and I just, I think you guys are going to be so blown away yourselves over the next few weeks of the magic that is going to be expressed by the guests. Remember, I'm just the one asking the questions, but they're bringing the magic. And I'm forever grateful for every person who shows up with this willingness to be vulnerable and to share either their personal stories or the wisdom that they've gained along the way. So stay tuned and be on the lookout. And also, don't forget that if you have a story that you want to share, or if you've had a journey and an experience that has brought you wisdom and epiphanies and magic that you want to share, please do not hesitate to reach out and connect with me so that we can make that happen. Now, I encourage you to go do something for yourself out of love. And until next time, make this week great.